Welcome in, everybody. Ready to dive deep with us today. We're taking a look at Paul Arden's It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be, a book packed with creative thinking and career
Oh,
advice.
this is a good one. It uses advertising as a framework, but honestly, the insights, they're applicable pretty much anywhere.
Exactly. And he makes a bold statement right off the bat.
Oh,
He
yeah.
says, nearly all rich and powerful people are not notably talented, educated, charming, or good-looking. Throws those usual success markers right out the window.
He sure does. Makes you wonder then what does drive success? If it's not those things, what is it?
Well, he gives a pretty straightforward answer. Ambition. That burning desire, that relentless drive.
Yeah. It's not just wanting it, it's that hunger to achieve it. He even says become rich and powerful by wanting to be rich and powerful.
Right. Almost like you got to program your mind for it by lining up what you want with what you actually do. Think
Mhm.
about it. Have you ever had a dream but dismissed it as too unrealistic?
I think we all have.
So what if you brought that same ambition, that unwavering belief to that goal?
Interesting.
It's like Victoria Beckham. She didn't just want to be a singer, she wanted to be a global brand and her comparison, not other musicians. She aimed for the fame of Persil automatic detergent.
Wow, that's setting the bar high.
Talk about thinking differently. And that leads us to another point Arden makes. He says, the cleverest people at school are not those who make it in life.
It's true, though, isn't it? Ever notice that? The straight A students don't always end up the most successful.
Right. Why is that?
He's saying those school skills, memorization, obedience, they don't always equal real-world success. In fact, they can sometimes hold you back, make you afraid to take risks.
So they're great at the school game, but they might not have the grit, the resilience, that creative problem solving you need outside of it.
Exactly. Think about the people you know who maybe didn't excel academically but are killing it in their careers or personal lives. What did they learn outside the classroom?
Makes you think about what we should really value in education, huh? Maybe it's less about rote learning, more about nurturing curiosity, that entrepreneurial spirit Arden keeps talking about.
Totally agree. And that brings us to another one of his ideas. This one might seem counterintuitive. Seek criticism, not praise.
I know, right? In a world obsessed with self-esteem, it feels almost wrong.
But praise, it can make you complacent, you know? You get lulled into thinking you're good, no need to improve. Criticism, though,
It can be tough to hear, but
it helps you grow. It helps you see those blind spots, refine your ideas.
so it's about being humble, willing to learn from others, even when it's uncomfortable.
Exactly. And this ties into another bold statement he makes. It's right to be wrong.
Whoa, that one really hit me. We're so scared to fail, but what if being wrong was actually a chance to grow, to innovate?
Think about it. If you're terrified of being wrong, you play it safe. But embrace the possibility of failure. Suddenly you're open to new ideas, new approaches.
It's like when Orson Welles made Citizen Kane. Couldn't get funding at first, so he shot these elaborate screen tests. They ended up being a huge part of the film.
What a move. Turned a setback into a showcase and ultimately got him the funding.
It shows sometimes being wrong can lead to a breakthrough. But Arden doesn't stop there. He also stresses the importance of presentation. Good ideas aren't enough. You have to present them in a way that grabs attention.
Absolutely. He says, don't give a speech, put on a show. In advertising, that means visuals, stories, emotional impact.
And it applies beyond that, too. A good presentation, a strong pitch, even a well-written email, it all makes a difference.
Remember when Charles Sasachi started his agency? Wanted his stationery to look like a bank's? Projected that image of stability.
It's about personal branding. What image you're putting out there through your communication, your clothes, even your online presence.
It's about being intentional. Think about the impact you want to make, then craft your presentation to match.
It's not about being fake. It's about showing your best self, the you that resonates. Because how you present yourself is just as important as the message itself.
Welcome back. Glad you stuck with us as we keep unpacking. It's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be. Before the break, we were talking about presentation, how even the little things count.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into another Ardenism, one that struck me as odd at first.
Yeah.
Compose your work from its weakest point. Makes you think, shouldn't you start with your strongest stuff?
It's a unique approach he's suggesting. He's basically saying, look, every project has limitations, right? Things that feel like drawbacks. But what if, instead of hiding them, you made those the starting point?
So not ignoring the problem, but using it as a springboard.
Exactly. He uses the example of a client who wants a massive logo, just huge, in their ad. Instead of fighting it, he says, make that big logo part of the design.
So you take that weakness and you turn it into a unique feature, something that stands out. Like, I remember a jeans brand that made a big deal about using recycled materials. Could have been seen as a downer, but they embraced it.
Made it part of their identity, right? That's turning a potential negative into a plus. And this composing from the weakest point idea, it goes beyond just visuals. Think about a project you're working on. What's the part you're struggling with most? The one you kind of want to avoid?
Oh, I have a few of those.
What if you tackled that head on? Made it a central part of your solution?
Big shift in thinking. But I can see how it could lead to some really innovative outcomes. And speaking of unconventional ideas, Arden also talks about rough layouts selling better than polished ones. That one threw me for a loop.
I get it. Seems backwards. You'd think clients want the finished, shiny product. But think about it. If you present something super polished, it can be intimidating, right? Like, here's the masterpiece. Don't touch it.
Doesn't leave a lot of room for the client to feel involved.
Nope. But a rough sketch, it invites them in. They see the potential. They can give input, feel like they're part of the process.
So it becomes more collaborative, a partnership, not just you dictating the final product.
And that ownership can be huge. They're more likely to love the final result because they help shape it. And this goes beyond clients. Think about brainstorming with colleagues, even developing your own ideas. Don't be afraid to share those early, messy drafts.
Because those messy drafts are often where the real gems hide.
You got it. It's about embracing the back and forth, letting ideas evolve through feedback and experiments. Much more dynamic than trying to nail it perfectly on the first try.
For sure. And this idea of ownership, it extends to working with suppliers too. Arden has a pretty strong stance there. He says, suppliers are only as good as you are.
Meaning you can't just throw a project at them and expect magic.
Right. You're the creative director, the one with the vision. You have to inspire them, guide them, make sure they truly get it.
He compares it to working with a film director. You don't want to give them total freedom. They might miss the nuances. But you also don't want to suffocate them with a super tight brief that leaves no room for their own creativity.
It's finding that sweet spot, Clear direction, but space for them to bring their own talent.
And that takes good communication, being able to express your vision clearly and trusting your collaborators.
Which can be hard, especially if you're used to controlling every detail. But Arden's saying this collaborative approach, it yields better results. When you inspire your suppliers, empower them, that's when the magic happens.
It's not just managing a project, it's building relationships, fostering respect, creating an environment where everyone feels valued and wants to contribute.
Couldn't agree more. And it all ties into another piece of advice he gives. Don't be afraid to work with the best. He knows top talent can be demanding, they'll challenge you, expect a lot, but, he says, it's worth it.
Because those are the people who'll push you to be better, to think differently, to create truly groundbreaking work. You embrace that friction, that tension, and it can spark real innovation.
It's like building a team of all-stars, each bringing their A game. It might not always be smooth sailing, but the potential is huge.
And honestly, sometimes the best lessons come from those moments when your ideas get challenged. You have to defend your choices, rethink your assumptions.
Totally. Speaking of challenging assumptions, Arden has this interesting suggestion, particularly for those in advertising. Get out of advertising.
Sounds a bit strange, right? Coming from him. But I think he's making a bigger point. You need inspiration from outside your own little bubble.
He says too much advertising inspiration comes from other advertising, so everything starts looking and sounding the same. Break free from that cycle, find fresh perspectives, new ideas from unexpected places.
He even talks about how an ad director might know who created a specific ad from ages ago, but couldn't name the current director of the National Theater. It's about broadening your horizons, becoming more culturally aware, letting diverse influences shape you.
It's about being a lifelong learner, always curious, always searching for new knowledge and experiences.
And I think that connects to another key message. Do not try to win awards. It's a controversial one, but his reasoning is solid.
He's basically saying don't let awards be your definition of success, because often they reward what's trendy, not what's truly innovative or impactful. Create work that matters, regardless of trophies.
It's about staying true to your vision, your artistic integrity, even if it means not getting patted on the back by the establishment.
Create something timeless, something that resonates, something that makes a real difference. And I think that's a powerful message to carry with us as we continue exploring Arden's ideas. And we're back, wrapping up our deep dive into it's not how good you are, It's how good you want to be. We've explored a ton, from ambition and presentation to the unexpected power of criticism and even being wrong.
Yeah, and a theme that keeps popping up is action. Arden's all about making things happen, not just talking about them. There's this whole section, how you can make your company great. So inspiring.
Oh, I love that part. What's cool is he doesn't just focus on the bigwigs. He's got advice for everyone, from senior managers down to junior account handlers. Everyone has the power to make a difference, regardless of their title.
Right, it's like he's encouraging everyone to think like an entrepreneur, spot opportunities, even within a big company.
And he's not talking about these huge, sweeping changes. Often it's about those small but impactful acts of initiative. Like a junior account handler could take a tiny bit of budget and fund a creative project that wouldn't get approved normally.
It's about those little chances to push boundaries, try new things, make a statement, even a small one, and building relationships with creative people, getting them excited to go above and beyond the usual brief.
He even suggests if a client won't run the finished product, the account handler could find a cheap way to showcase it themselves, then use PR to generate buzz. Almost like guerrilla marketing, you know? Get your ideas out there, even if the higher-ups aren't on board.
It's about taking charge, not letting bureaucracy or fear hold back creativity. Such an empowering message, especially if you feel stuck where you are.
Right. You always have choices. You can shape your career, contribute to the company's success, even from your position.
And he's got good advice for those higher ups, too. Talks about an agency that negotiated this deal, 95% of budget on safe, expected work, 5% on purely creative stuff the client had to accept unconditionally.
That's so smart. The client gets what they need. The agency gets to experiment. No fear of rejection.
Shows how to think outside the box, find solutions that benefit everyone.
He also encourages media buyers to be more adventurous with placements, like a motorbike ad in a ladies' fashion magazine or lingerie in a motorbike magazine. Shake things up, get attention.
Disrupt expectations, right? Challenge those assumptions about what works. And that's Arden in a nutshell. Challenging the status quo, taking risks, chasing creative excellence, even if it means going against the grain.
And this applies beyond advertising, don't you think?
Oh, totally. He's got this section, Life's Creative Circle. Creativity isn't just for artists, it's for everyone. It's a cycle we all go through, from that free-flowing creativity as kids to the more structured creativity as adults.
And even later he says, embrace that inhibitions lost phase. Let go of self-doubt, societal pressures. Just create for the joy of it, like rediscovering that childlike wonder we lose along the way.
It's like tapping back into that inner child, that pure, uninhibited creative source.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways from it's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be? What does it all mean for you, the listener?
Arden's message is pretty clear. It's not about where you are now, it's where you want to be. Set ambitious goals, push your limits, embrace the creative process, even when it's messy and unpredictable.
Find inspiration everywhere. Be curious, be willing to learn and grow, and create things that matter. Whether it's a killer ad campaign, a thriving business, a fulfilling career, or simply a life well lived.
And never forget, you have the power to make a difference, no matter where you're at in your journey.
As we close, I'll leave you with a final thought echoing Arden's words. What's one thing you want to be great at? Not just good, truly great.
And what's one step you can take today to get there? Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about ambition, action, and embracing the ride.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time. Keep those creative sparks flying.